सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नमः श्री शंकरानंद गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलास महामोहग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे परमात्माद्वयानन्दपूर्णः पूर्वं स्वमायया परमात्माद्वयानन्दपूर्णः पूर्वं स्वमायया स्वयमेव जगद्भूत्वा प्राविशज्जीवरूपतः विष्णुवाद्युत्तमदेहेषु We'll try one more time, okay? Don't worry, yeah. Vishmadyuttamadehishu pravishto devata bhavat martyadyadhamadehishu what? Martyadyadhamadehishu like that. Martyadyadhamadehishu sthito bhajati martyatam. Yeah, so some other readings say Devatam, that's where we had stopped. And if you say Devatam, then you know the context of the what we are studying changes quite a bit. We have to look at the whole thing from the standpoint of the context, and I didn't make that corrections, who am I to correct Vidyaranya Swami? No, the correction has been made by our Purvajas, the Gurus before us in our lineage. So that's why we go with the Parampara meaning. Yeah, that is how it is ascertained, the meaning of it. Because, if you say, two things happen. If you say, Martyadi Adhama Deheshu, I'm assuming everybody knows what we are talking about. So, meaning this same Paramatma in the bodies of mortals, etc., what happens? Sthitaha, living, abiding, staying, remaining, bhajati devatam. If we take that interpretation, then devata there is more in the sense of a ironic statement. Look at this miserable jiva. Who is this miserable jiva? The one that has identified with the ignorance, the body, the mind, etc. The one who has all these problems, is going to church or is going to the temple, not knowing that oneself is the truth, But then, if the irony isn't understood properly, because who is studying this? Not the person who already knows, the person who wants to know. This is for the mumukshu, correct? So, if the mumukshu studies, the mumukshu can come to the wrong conclusion. Okay, if I know, I don't have to, there is no prayer involved at all. Or there is no worship, there is no prayer, or there is no connection. Once I know, there is nothing to do, that kind of a hubris can come in before the knowledge is understood. And also the word bhajati, bhaja, it has many meanings. And the commonly used meaning is kind of, I told you last time, sevayam, and the other one is more in the sense of patanam. Patanam means you kind of, as a default, fall into that. So here the contextually, and you'll see why by the end of the class, the word martyatam suits better. Okay? Yeah. But let us look at the verse. Vishnu Adi, Vishnuvadi. Say that?
Vishnuvadi.
Not Vishnu Adi, Vishnuvadi.
Vishnuvadi.
So Vishnuvadi, Uttama Deheshu, staying in, remaining in, entering as it were, these exalted bodies such as Vishnu, etc. And then what? Pravishtaha, Pravishtaha having entered, Devata Abhavat means this Para-Atma Ishvara here. You know, who is this Ishvara? That limitless consciousness plus what? Maya Upadhi. This we have to understand. Maya, and that's why I spent a lot of time there. You know, people might already be thinking 7 sessions, or what is this? 8th session, I think today. 7th session. 7 sessions over, we are still on the first verse. Don't worry, you know, we'll have time for all of them. And but that's because the background knowledge is very important. After that, everything just flows, you know. So we have been discussing Maya, and what have we, you know, understood about this Maya is that it is, you know, it's an as though power for a creation that can be best described as that which is non-separate from the cause. So we did a lot of talk on Sunday about cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, effect being non-separate from the cause. Cause is just called the cause from the standpoint of the effect. The effect, we use the word mithya, which is dependent upon the cause. The cause is independent of the effect. So that is Maya. And you know, you can't say, oh, Maya, illusion, delusion. I mean, this is, you know, in India, most of the regions worship the goddess. That she is all powerful. You go to, you know, Kashmir, Shakta tradition, Shakti worshippers. You go to Punjab, they will be worshipping Mataji. You go to, you know, you go to Maharashtra, you go to Kerala, you go to Andhra Pradesh, you go to Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, all the states. Goddess. And what to talk of Bengal? Bengal finished, you know, it's like for 1 month in the spring and 1 month in the fall, when they have their 10-day goddess festival, everything shuts down. Nobody goes to work. You can't make them go to work because they're very elaborate, you know, goddess festival. Very elaborate. And that it's not that, you know, and especially in the rural areas also, because the thing is, you know, people are very, very smart. They know where to pray and where to make the inroads, you know, for the prayer to be heard. Because Maya means all knowledge from the standpoint of Bhagavan. And this Bhagavan has to be understood as non-separate, you know, from myself, and that's what the first verse attempted to do. This Paramatma, Advayaha, Anandaha, Purnaha, and what happened to this Paramatma, you know, Swayameva Jagat Bhutva, you know, Pravishat, Jiva Rupataha, Pravishat, in the form of the Jiva, you know, in the, you know, as though took on the Jiva's form and sat in the heart of every Jiva. The problem is the Jiva doesn't know where to look. Looks everywhere, you know. Saint Kabir has a wonderful, you know, doha, a couplet. Lehari dhoonde leher ko. The wave is searching for the ocean, composing sad songs. You know, where are you? I miss you. I'm not finding you. Kapada dhoonde soot. You know, the fabric decides to go in search of the yarn. It is not finding the yarn. It's very sad. It wants to invoke the yarn, but it cannot see the yarn anywhere. Lehari dhoonde leher ko, kapada dhoonde soot, jiva dhoonde brahma ko. This jiva is searching for Ishvara, here called Brahman. Brahman means Ishvara. Jiva dhoonde brahma ko. This jiva is searching for Ishvara. Tino utake ut. Ut means the most foolish among all the foolish people. Not just the foolish person. You take a bunch of foolish people and pick out the most foolish one. That word is called Ut. Because the person searching, the jiva searching for Ishvara is a joke. You know. It's as ridiculous as the wave searching for the ocean and as the other one. What is that? The fabric searching for the thread. How is that even possible? The thread is, there is no fabric without the thread. In fact, the fabric of the fabric is the thread. All there is thread, and the thread is manifest as fabric, and you cannot say, why did this happen? Why was the sheep shorn? Because if you don't shear the sheep, you know what happens? Yeah, there was one photo, and one fellow ran away from the flock and hid himself because he didn't like haircuts. For 5 years or 6 years, they could not find this one. And finally they found him. He was apprehended on a mountain top, and they could not even recognize him because he was 10 times his size. He could barely walk because the weight of this wool and the dust and the dirt and everything, the fur was all matted, and this big sheep was looking like that, and he just, then they, forced him to get a haircut. 30 kgs of wool came out. I mean, imagine. So you can't say why was the sheep sheared, why was the yarn done, why was the sweater made, why I'm wearing it. All these things, it is because that's how it is. So why did Bhagavan create? Bhagavan did not create. Oh, so you're dismissing the universe. I'm not dismissing the universe. No, but then if Bhagavan did not create, what am I living in? Then who created what I'm living in? It is uncreated. I'm not dismissing the universe, I'm Bhagavanizing the universe. You see, oh Maya, 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 and the teaching tells us to see Bhagavan, 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 Bhagavan everywhere. That's the difference. We are Ishvarizing the universe, we are Bhagavanizing the universe, where, where we are understanding the apparent duality as an apparition, really. Because all there is Bhagavan. You cannot say, why did Bhagavan create? That's a silly question. That's what the thing is. And then therefore all these Leela Vadis come, start getting born. Oh, for his own Leela. His Leela and my difficulties. My difficulties have become Bhagavan's Leela. I'm dying here because of, the bad karma he has given me, and he is frolicking and sporting, and it is called Leela. No. All there is Bhagavan. So the question is, why did the Jagat come? Where is it going? All this is not relevant, because when we see the Jagat as Bhagavan, then all these questions go away. And that's where the discussion is headed, and that's why the word Devatam does not fit here. That's why we have to, in the second verse, we have to look at it as Martyatam. So therefore, this whole Jagat is non-separate from Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the Jagat. Wherever you see, whatever you see is Bhagavan. Oh, so I am also Bhagavan? Unfortunately, yes. So even the complaining fellow asking this question is none other than Bhagavan. Even though we wished for that not to be true, it happens to be the truth. Oh, so if I am also Bhagavan, then why there are all these devatas? Why I should worship? Nobody is asking you to worship. No, but then if I don't worship, I don't feel good. Okay, worship. Because the worship, again, we have to see what that is. It is done from a certain standpoint of the karmic overload, and the person carrying this big basket of Sanchita, Agami and Prarabdha Karma weighted down by this basket is the one trying to say, please relieve me of this basket. And so from that standpoint, it is the individual taking refuge in the total. Oh, but you just said the individual is the total. Yes, but do you know that? No. Okay, then keep quiet. That's all you can say. If you don't know that, you have to understand that, and till the relief, till you understand that the interim relief is the interim step to gaining the ultimate relief is the temporary relief through taking refuge in the total. But I thought I was already in the total. You are in the total, but do you know that? No. It's just like that. Do you know that? No. So you have to be told that. So therefore, as you are, trying to understand that, you have to see that this, this duality which is pricking me on all sides and causing me a lot of trouble, that has to be reconciled, and until it is reconciled, it will still be a thorn on the side. And part of the process of reconciliation is to know Bhagavan, and part of the whole step of knowing Bhagavan is to know Bhagavan first as an altar of surrender. That is what the whole thing is. And so that is why there is that apparent difference. The Jiva is also Brahman, Bhagavan is also Brahman. In fact, there is no separation between the two. But that separation it has to be, that separation has to be cut down on two levels. On the level of the everyday empirical reality, and then on the level of the knowledge, Paramarthikam, on the level of the absolute. So on the level of the empirical reality, this so-called difference has to be bridged, and that so-called difference is described very well in this verse, very beautifully done. Vishnu Adi. So Vishnu here, when you say Adi, who else comes? Brahma and Shiva, all three, And somebody said, you also have Trinity. Yeah, but it's all one, It's not only from the standpoint of the gunas, you have differences. This is what it is. Because Maya, as I told you Sunday, is that she paints the whole Jagat with these three colors, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, in various stages and various degrees. That's called the Mayik scale. Just like earthquake has what? What is that? Richter scale. Richter scale means 3. 3.0 on Richter scale means you don't feel anything at all. Yes. So it has to be at least 5 points on the Richter scale in order to feel something. 7 points on Richter scale means, there's nothing left, where a lot of things have been shifted and it's a major earthquake. And so like this, there is a Sattva, Rajas, Tamas scale. More Sattva means more Punya. More Punya leads to more Sattva. And more Sattva means more comfortable situations, more overlordship, less inhibitions, more ability to be a presence, that makes a difference, like a position of a leader and all these things. And more Rajas, very good for sports and those kinds of situations. Also anger, etc. It's not all bad. In imbalance it is bad. These are all things that we need. More Tamas. Tamas also is not bad. Only when it manifests as ignorance, and also when it is uncontrolled Tamas, then it is not a good thing. So then all these gunas are at various stages and in various ways configured, and that is the job of Mother Maya. Really, that is the job. She is the one, because you see, what makes one be born as a jiva, as anything? What makes one be born? Ignorance. Because of ignorance, what do we have?
Desire.
Go to the last part. Karma. Because of karma one is born, right? Yeah. So then, Punya Pradhana Sharira. the body that is predominantly punya is a different kind of an upadhi. This is only upadhi bheda. What is quote unquote inside the upadhi is one and the same. Yeah. So, punya pradhana sharira means a predominantly punya body. And this punya body is a wonderful body which has a lot of weight to throw around, in the sense of, not in the sense of, not in the sense of a hippopotamus, but figuratively speaking, throws its weight around. People listen to this upadhi, people, invoke this upadhi. And then what? Papa pradhana sharira with a lot of papa. What does it do? It creeps along in the form of what? Sthavara, four-footed, and so are you, this is animal cruelty. I mean, SPCA will come after us if we say like this, you are insulting the animals. What's wrong with animals? In fact, they are better than human beings. We are not talking that there is anything wrong with, there is nothing wrong with animals or animal life. But then why do you call them Papa Shariras? Bodies are born of Papa. Bodies are born of Papa because poor things, they cannot express themselves. Even if someone hurts them, they have to stay with them. And they are subject to untold miseries unless they have some punya and they, maybe they are born in the first world. But again, they have to be either dog or cat, otherwise they immediately get eaten. Baby cow gets eaten. They just give it a different name. What is it called? Will. Yeah. Free will to eat. That's all it is. And it should be renamed won't, not will. And so nobody will eat it. So baby cow means it's immediately swaha. So this is a Papa Pradhana Sharira, because I read a horrifying incident that they put these baby animals on first of all they don't let them move so that they don't develop muscles. And then they put them on an assembly line thing, like a, what is that? Carousel. Huh?
Conveyor belt.
Conveyor belt, thank you, that's the thing. That's what I wanted to convey. So they put them on this belt, and then once it reaches there, it's just, pulverized. And this one, somehow fell off or escaped, and saw its brothers and sisters being, doing this. And as it escaped, some of the workers there, they didn't want to stop the process of this massacre, so they just took this and tied it to a tree, thinking that, okay, we'll, let go, we'll kill it later. But seeing all that trauma, because it hadn't even reached, it somehow knew. It hit its head repeatedly against the tree and died. This is why we say it is a sad sharira, because no expression possible, always at the mercy of other people. Cannot express pain, cannot express sorrow, cannot express, it can bite, but and again, look at, even if they are not eaten, things like, what is that? Some world of the sea, where all these... Sea World, Sea World, where the dolphins are made to go through the ring of fire, and then some other hoops, awful. When the animals are also committing suicide because they don't know what else to do. So there is untold, miseries in this life because they cannot express themselves and they become pawns for other jivas' entertainment, or they become food. It's very sad. And so that's why we say Papa Pradhana Shariram. And same thing if you are a plant. Plants are Bhagavan, Ishvara. But when you see the plant, you don't understand that it is intelligent. People just go, and even while people are walking, they pluck the leaves. We have bad habits. In the Vedas, you're not allowed to even pluck a blade of grass without a prayer. Ishetvo jetva bhagyavastho bhagyavastha devo vassavita. That is the prayer. The first prayer of the Yajurveda is, to the issue. Ishe, oh dear blade of grass, forgive me because I am about to cut you for my puja, for my ritual. Make me worthy of this birth. That is the dharma. And so you see there are all these, so the Maya's job is to connect, is many. First of all, to connect various jivas in a certain kind of a connection, so that all these things can, progress in certain ways. Connect the jivas together. Without this connection, how are you going to exhaust your papa and punya? You can't. If you just lived in a cave somewhere, still there will be other stalactites. One stalactite may fall and injure something for this person. So that is also a kind of a karma exhaustion. But for the karma to exhaust, things have to come together. People have to come together. Bugs have to come together. Zika, no, yeah. You can't go to certain areas. There is an advisory. You can't go to some of these South American countries at all. This is a big virus. And before that, some other Ebola. No sooner we eradicate one, Maya has one more ready, because the person's karma has to be exhausted. So all kinds of, first we only thought mosquito. What's the big deal? The worst thing that could happen because of a mosquito was malaria. You sat and shivered for a few days and then you were all right. Of course it kept recurring for some time, but small details. And, but now the mosquitoes have become very chalak, very clever indeed. And they are empowered to, what should I say, take everything off the face of this earth. That is how they are. That is because, the more clever we get trying to outwit karma, individual and collective, Maya is dancing. Maya's dance, Ishvara's dance, one and the same. It's the dance of knowledge and movement, because as long as Nataraja is dancing, these karmas are getting exhausted. And, that's why his hair is like this. It's not like that. Dakshinamurti's hair is like that. He's got a bandhana. But Nataraja is, moving so fast that it's just fantastic. As long as he's moving. It's not that he's dancing or anything. It's a metaphor to understand. The metaphor is that it's a single-handed choreography. That is what is to be understood here. It's a singly orchestrated grand choreography of various jivas, just with three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. So many, what is that? Configurations. It's just like a computer. You go to the computer shop, you want to buy a new computer. So how many GBs? And these GBs are like samosas, so easily now it's like 1,000 GBs is nothing, nothing. Before, MB itself was enough. Now you keep on getting GBs, how many GBs, how many RAMs, and they're not talking of animals, okay, yeah. How many RAMs, how many GBs, how many, so you can configure the computer custom made. It will take a few days and they'll configure this many GBs, this many RAMs, this many goats, all this they will put and give, correct? And then you go collect it, you have a custom made computer. So Maya also configures the jiva, like this. How many GBs of intelligence, how many GBs of sattva, how many GBs of tamas, and how many GBs of, rajas to put, and all these are so beautifully measured. It's just mind-boggling. And because of that, this is the upadhi bheda. they have a wonderful partnership. Bhagavan and Bhagavati, who are really one and the same, have a great partnership. So, you create the upadhi and I'll go sit in it. That's all it is. Wonderful. So from the standpoint of the maker, it is called Bhagavan. From the standpoint of material, that same force is called Bhagavati. It's all one and the same. Kalpita Shakti, because this is a Kalpitam Jagat. So the Shakti is Kalpita because the Jagat is Kalpitam, and the Shakti has three kinds of components, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. All of them are, Kalpita, Kalpita, Kalpita. So therefore, the Upadhi Vashat and the Upadhi is due to what? Karma Vashat. Vashat means because of the ways in which the orders are, the orders are spread. Bhagavan is in the form of so many orders. We don't say that Bhagavan has created the orders. Bhagavan is the order. So many orders. We can talk of the physiological order, that, if one person has the flu, everyone else will get it. That's the physiological order. But one person did not get it. Why? Karmic order. So you see, the physiological order connects to the karmic order, like this. And then, and even the expression of punya has certain, brings in people in certain ways. Like here we are all together, studying in this 1 month course. Who knew? Who knew that so many people will come and so many people will come together in this particular way, and between all of you also there are certain connections. No, but I don't know any of these people. Yeah, but that's okay. But there you are connected. You are connected because you are all online at the same time from various countries. That itself is a connection. And so like this, the karmic order is a huge thing in terms which is 90% of what goes into configuring various upadhis. Comfortable upadhi, slightly uncomfortable upadhi, comfortably uncomfortable upadhi, uncomfortably comfortable upadhi, uncomfortably uncomfortable upadhi. All these various things from this sattva, rajas, tamas. So when we talk of someone like Vishnu, who is Bhagavan as who is Bhagavan, itself, but as a functionary who sustains this whole universe in the sustaining capacity. Vishnu means Vyapakatvat Vishnu. See, the suffix is Ishnuch. Ishnuch, and the V coming with in front of Ishnu makes it V for Vividham. In the form of many, and Vyapakat, Sarva Vyapi. So the Ishnuch Pratyaya gives the sense of agent of that all pervasion. So that's what it is, Ishnuch. So words like Sahishnu, Jishnu, Vishnu, all these things are that particular suffix. So this Vishnu, it is Lord. Oh my God. So Bhagavan here is there. And what is that? Uttama Deheshu. Exalted bodies like Vishnu. Not that Bhagavan has a body, but here we have to take it as Upadhi. Upadhi is more than the body. It's the configuration of the what's that? The whole expression of that particular being. All that is required, the accoutrements of expression, and Ishvara or Bhagavan's accoutrement of expression are things like all knowledge, all pervasive, all knowing, omniscient, everything. Those are the upadhis. Upadhi means, don't think, okay, blue bodied Vishnu and so many hands carrying Shankha Chakra. That is again a kind of a Upadhi within upadhi. It's a particular kind of an upadhi within the general upadhi. It's a particular form. Upadhi doesn't mean form. Upadhi means all the accoutrements needed for expressing that particular, that particular manifestation. That is what is called upadhi. So here Vishnu is Bhagavan, oh my God. Vishnu means Shuddha Sattva, where the Sattva is not malina, is not vitiated by Rajas and Tamas, is called Shuddha Sattva. Somewhere it comes. Where does it come? Shuddha Sattva, the word? न कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानशुः परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते यद्यतयो विशन्ति. In that mantra it comes Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva means they have all got, the yogis have purified themselves. This we chant every day. This is like the what is that? The creed of the renunciants. Among the Catholics there is what? Nicene Creed? Some kind of Nicene Creed.
Statement of belief.
This is not a belief. This is a what is that? This is an iteration of what the life of sannyasa is really about. And so that's a good thing to chant from the Kaivalya Upanishad. Kaivalya Upanishad is something quite something. Last time we studied that. It's really amazing. So Shuddha Sattva is like a ideal, typical, condition of Sattva, which is uninhibited Sattva. Sattva means godliness, really. Sattva means everything wonderful. Uninhibited by Rajas, even the slightest bit of anger and fear and all those things. Or Tamas, the slightest bit of inertia. So if you had, like sometimes they separate whey from the yogurt. The curds and whey are separated, and then you put it in a cheesecloth, and then you let all the whey drip into a bowl, and then inside the cloth you have that, you have that curds, almost like a thick yogurt. So like that, if you put Sattva, Rajas, Tamas in it, and filtered out the Sattva, separated the Sattva, then it is the Upadhi of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu as the Lord. Wow! So sattvic he is that he can take care of the whole universe while lying down. There is no kartritvam, there is no doership, there is no feeling, oh my God, what am I doing? And maybe this was not a correct thing to do. Maybe I should rethink this. Nothing, because it's all infallible. The whole thing is infallible. And therefore what? So this is Shuddha Sattva. From the standpoint of Shuddha Sattva, the sustainer of course is having Shuddha Sattva, because somebody who is sustaining this universe better know what is being done, what they are doing. And then what? Shuddha Rajas. Rajas is not a bad thing if one has control over it. Shuddha Rajas gives you Brahmaji, the Lord in the form of the creator, because without Rajas you cannot create. You cannot be lying down and saying, okay, one more jiva has to come. I think I should get a helper. All this is not, you have to do something about it. And even the manasik activity, the activity in the mind, saha akamayat, saha asrijat, saha abhavat, so that manokamana, even that requires rajas. Manokamana means, planning it all in the mind requires rajas. Rajas means activity. Rajas means, individuation, all those things. And so Shuddha Rajas, uninhibited by Tamas, and, is called what? is ideal typical Shuddha Rajas, Lord Brahmaji, the creator, from the standpoint of Bhagavan as the one who is creating. And then what is left? Shuddha Tamas. Don't think tamas is all bad. It is bad for you, not for the Lord. Because the Lord is sitting on the Nandi. Nandi means tamas. Lord is sitting, riding the bull, which means tamas, which means that the Lord is not affected. The Lord is wielding the tamas, because after all this creation and after this sustenance, somebody better resolve it. Otherwise the jivas will be permanently imprisoned in these bodies, or in the bodies like these bodies. So therefore, somebody better put an end to this sad little jagat. And so it's not even about putting an end, it's a resolution. It's not a destroyer, it's a resolver. Somebody better know how to take it back, because it's all a manifestation and demanifestation, projection and resolution. So some things, when they have come out, have to demanifest. And that is called Rudra. Rudra means, Rodayati Sarvan, gives them the karma phala and makes them cry. And then what? Rudanam Dravayati, then gives them a hanky and asks them to wipe their eyes. Both the meanings are there. That is Rudra. Hanky Bhagavan, No hanky panky, only hanky. Okay? Hanky Bhagavan. This is what it is. Rodayati Sarvan. And Rudanam, Dravayati, makes the crying all goes away upon being invoked. Correct? And so these are the devatas, these are the upadhis, Shuddha Sattva, so much, from the standpoint of, if we can look at it two ways. We can just look at it as all from the standpoint of the various upadhis of the Lord himself, Lord/Goddess, because each upadhi comes with a feminine counterpart, the Shakti counterpart comes along with. So in India, when we worship Shakti, naturally the masculine is also worshipped. And if we worship the masculine avatara, the feminine comes along. Either way, it's all the same. That's why we have Ardhanarishvara. The Lord Dakshinamurti is also half feminine. So like this, one side, is a different earring. You can see that. And if the person who is carving knows what is what, they will make one side a little more feminine. That is how they'll make the features a little softer on the left hand side. And so, like this, when we say Rudra, Brahma, Vishnu, like this, you can look at it from two standpoints. You can look at it as Maya has made these upadhis and the Lord pervades all of them. Or you can look at it as various expressions of the Lord. Both ways you can look at it, A more mature way, a more emotionally or rather spiritually mature way is to just transcend the upadhi and look at them as various expressions of Bhagavan. But if one must, and if for the sake of study we are discussing Maya, we can look at it even from the standpoint of the Maya herself and say Maya has made these Shuddha Sattva, Shuddha Rajas, Shuddha Tamas. Whereas all the people on earth have what? Malina Sattva. Malina Sattva means dirty Sattva. No, literally that's what it means. Not so clean Sattva or not so clear Sattva. Not so clear Sattva. So therefore, why? Because there is Antahkarana, that is part of the Upadhi. When the mind is there, then you just have to say, never mind. You have to give up everything. The mind becomes a very powerful inhibitor. That's why it's called mind. It minds everything. And, it becomes a very powerful inhibitor because it inhibits that Chaitanya, that consciousness which is limitless. It as though inhibits that in expression, just like even the space with reference to this pot, which we can call pot space, is seen as tiny compared to room space. And if the pot space had a human mind, the pot space would say, I don't want to see room space, because room space has swallowed me up. I am in room space. I don't feel roomy at all. I think I should study some Rumi, the Sufi poet. I don't know what to do. Help! That is what it is. So, from the standpoint of the Antahkarana, that's why there are so many inhibitions. Why am I like this? Why am I not any better? What's wrong with me? Why am I subject to fear? Why am I subject to all kinds of pains and sorrows? All these things are there. Who is saying this? Satchidananda Atma, sitting and complaining. And the complaints are manifest from Satchidananda Atma, upheld and sustained by Satchidananda Atma, resolve into Satchidananda Atma. So even the crying, the dukkha, as it's going to say in verse number 3 or 4, the dukkha is also sustained by Satchidananda. The ananda sustains the dukkha. So even when one is crying, it's that atma completely free of tears, which is doing the crying, or which is sustaining or manifesting this crying. So therefore it's antahkarana vashat. Because of antahkarana, the sattva is inhibited, rajas is inhibited, tamas overpowers, so many other permutations and combinations are there. But when we talk of the worshipful ones in the form of Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, the manifestations of Bhagavan, or Maya's, another, feather in Maya's cap, Maya's manifestations or Mayic manifestations, when we talk about that, then they become, we have to talk about them like that. Like this we become awesome. It's all filled with awe. Gunaihi gauravatam ayataha hari brahma harastrayah. Where have we heard it? Anybody? गुणैर्गौरवताम् आयाताः हरिब्रह्महरास्त्रयः गुणातीततयास्माकम्. Anybody? I thought maybe chanting the tune might help, but doesn't look like it has helped. Guणातीततयास्माकम् गुरवो गुरुताङ्गतः गुणैर्गौरवताम् आयाताः हरिब्रह्महरास्त्रयः गुणातीततयास्माकम् गुरवो गुरुताङ्गतः. Bodhasara. Yes. Bodhasara. Yeah. Oh, that. Yes. In describing in the Guru Stava, Guru Stuti, that even these lords, such manifestations of Lord like Vishnu, Hari Brahma Haraha, Hara is Rudra, Hari is Vishnu, and Brahma is of course Brahmaji. All these three, they have become exalted, Gauravatam, they have gained a stature. How? Through the gunas, Shuddha Sattva, Shuddha Rajas, Shuddha Tamas. So they have gained a kind of a stature because of the gunas. My Guru is greater than all of them because he has let go of all the gunas and therefore he is great. Gunatitataya asmakam guravaha, plural for respect. Gauravatangataha. That is what is being discussed here. Vishnu adi uttama deheshu. Deha here is not body, upadhishu. Vishnuadi uttama deheshu pravishto devata abhavat. So the same Paramatma, that same Ishvara, which same Ishvara? The one sitting in your heart. Oh, that one. Okay. That one, that same limitless Paramatma, that Lord entering into upadhis of power, pelf, prestige and overlordship is called Lord, is called Bhagavan. And then what? Martyadi adhamadeheshu, and in lowly upadhis, such which are all mortal. Drishtanashta swabhava, they are barely born and they are gone, some of them like amoeba, etc. And then and then the rest of them live for a few more minutes, and then some of them live for a few years. I mean, what is time really? Time is itself an upadhi. And so then martyadi adhamadeheshu, then what happens in there? Sthitaha means remaining helplessly, as though like the deer in the headlights, trapped, feeling trapped. Yeah. There it says pravishtah, here it says sthitah, and even though they may be synonyms, but there is a reason why it is talked like that. So what is the pravishtah means entered. There is an agency there. Sthitah means the stabdah, Yeah. Sabdaha means completely immobile, sitting there as though trapped. So as though trapped in these lowly upadhis, bhajati, or falls into what? Despair, yes, of course. And falls into mortality means identifies. Bhaja sevane, or experiences mortality. So that same limitless consciousness, that same Bhagavan, having entered the bodies, identifying with the bodies, with the upadhis, experiences exaltation and experiences debilitation. As it were. Really. What is the truth? Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtah. That is the truth. Where is that now? Bodhasara. No. Sure? Yeah, where is that? Chapter 15. What? Panchadashi? Because 15 chapters. No. Bhagavad Gita. Yes. Sarvasya cha aham hridi sannivishtah. I have entered the hearts of all. And that same thing is expressed in chapter 9 as well. Maya tatam idam sarvam. Jagadavya idam jagat sarvam maya tatam. Tatam means vyaptam. By me is pervaded this entire universe, this entire jagat, including the bodies, minds and senses. All the complexes, all the complex people are just pervaded by me alone. Maya tatam idam sarvam. Who am I? Avyakta murtina. By this unmanifest power, hitherto unmanifest, now manifest, and then later on again unmanifest. This is what Shvetu was taught. Showing the pots and the gold and the ornament, Shvetaketu was taught the same thing. That you are that which is, which is that Sat. Srishte prak. Before all this came, it was called Sat. Even now it is called Sat. It is Sat, It is the truth of every word, every meaning, every name, every form. It's just so beautiful. Like all the words, the nouns end in s, Ramas, correct? Yeah, that Su, that invisible Su, which then becomes a Visarga, Su, ouch, us. That Su, Ramas, Krishnas, Gurus. That Sakara is there. That is what holds the word together. That is Sat. Sa for Sat. The silent Sat that takes everything, keeps everything going. And powers the word, empowers the word to become the word. Otherwise it's not a word. Without that Su, you can't just put Guru. For it to be a nominative agent, so in other words, all agency is supplied by this one prefix called Su. That U goes away because it's an it letter. It letter means it doesn't have it's just an indicatory letter. It doesn't have any other function than to indicate. So the U goes away. What remains is Is, Ramas, Krishnas, Haris, Gurus, and that is for Sat. That is what makes the word a word. That is how Sat breathes life into every upadhi. It's so beautiful. It's just wonderful. And this is why the Bhagavad Gita says, Maya tatamidam sarvam. All this is just an expression of me. It is, it is inhabited by me. And who am I? Avyakta Murtina, that unmanifest power, manifest as this universe. Matsthani sarva bhutani. In me alone everything derives power. Nachaham teshu avasthitaha. But I am not in all the elements, and the elements derive their power from me, but I am not located in any one of them. Matsthani sarva bhutani. The one verse says, and the next verse says, Nacha matsthani bhutani. What creation? What spreading? What manifestation? It's all me. There is nothing there. I am not in anything. I am myself alone. Just like the pot saying, from the standpoint of the clay says, if you ask the clay, are you pot? Sure, I am manifest as the pot. Oh, the clay has become pot. No. I am clay. Nachamatstani bhutani. And the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, Pashyame yogamaishwaram. Look at my magic, O Arjuna. I am in everything. Everything is not in me. But again, I am not in everything. I am not in anything. I am just me. If this is not magic, what is magic? This is the magic. Yoga. This is my Aishwarya. This is my overlordship. This is that manifestation and demanifestation. And that inhabiting without inhabiting. And this is what it is. And so here, the Uttama Deha and Adhama Deha are particularly juxtaposed. The exalted Upadhi, at which one is bowing all the time, and the lowly Upadhi, which one was trying to get rid of and peel off. You just can't find the zipper, how to jump out, seems to be trapped. So both these Upadhis are just spoofs. One is Jivatvam, the other is Ishwaratvam. What do they have in common? Tvam. Although it has a different meaning there. Both are Tvam. Jiva, actually this Jivatvam means Jiva, hood. Ishwaratvam means Ishvara, hood. Those are just the hoodie. You take away the hood, what is there is, Paramatma. All there is Ishvara alone. So Ishvara everywhere. And so therefore, this is, so Martyadi Adhama Deheshu, so happily sitting in a lowly Upadhi, this fellow identified with the Upadhi, sits and cries. When will you get me out? Where are you? What is your Leela? What is all this? This is terrible and I'm having a hard time. Help me, save me, do this, do that. This is how to understand Bhagavan. Otherwise, we are just, we are at a big loss. Otherwise, if we don't understand it this way, lots of problems arise. More we shall see about this itself. We shall see on Thursday. There is another class, and tomorrow chanting, I think. Chanting class, yeah. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Shanti Shanti Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Yeah, pure sattva, it's an expression. Don't take it for real. That's the problem. Don't take it for real. You are confused because you're seeing them as three different things, and it's all Bhagavan only, but from the standpoint of the manifestation we are talking. Okay, it's just a model. Yeah, so not to take it seriously. And then for a Rajasic person, is it a mixture of Papa and Punya? For all human beings, it's a mixture of Papa and Punya. Yeah, that's the thing. For all human beings. Otherwise, one would be a Devata. Yeah, okay. More about this, there's a lot more to say. Yeah. Chanting class tomorrow. Good. Is your cold better now? Very nice. Today I could attend the class only at my lunch break, but I'm so happy. Wonderful. Very nice. Very happy to see you too. I mean, I don't see you, but I know you are there. Excellent. Very nice. Take care. Oh.